We are going to be checking out this Crimson Desert video that we got going on right here. It is the final preview. Um, this game comes out very soon, and I am very excited for it, and I'm hoping it will be good. It looks like it's going to be really good, but we are going to see. But let's go ahead and jump into the video and see what's in store for us.
And now, a bloody battle unfolds. Between the Greymanes, who fight to uphold his will, and the Black Bear forces that seek to set it aflame.
Every once in a while, a particularly ambitious game comes along and immediately hooks the audience. In Crimson Desert's case, showing a grand-scale world that recalls elements of Breath of the Wild and The Witcher 3 quickly garnered a mystique for its ridiculously over-the-top ambitions for a new open-world action game. However, since its reveal back in 2019, it has taken a long time to get a clearer picture of how the ambitions driving Crimson Desert have taken shape. And now, in 2026, it's garnered some healthy skepticism, leading many to feel it might be one of those games that's just too good to be true.
It's us ordinary folk who are paying the price.
I have to say, just looking at all the trailers and stuff that I've looked at so far, the game looks excessively massive. Like the open world, like the map just looks huge just from what I've seen in all the trailers and stuff. I've said this before in a couple other reactions that I've done. I'm hoping it's not like a big, massive open world with like really nothing in it. I know if you've looked at like some of the other trailers, when you look out into the to the world, you don't really like see any like point of interest. You just see like forests and mountains and stuff like that. You don't really see anything. That looks interesting, but I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping this game will have like a bunch of packed stuff in it that you could do, but we're just gonna have to see.
Thankfully, with the now firm March 19th release date fast approaching, we have some extended hands-on time with developer Pearl Abyss's large-scale single-player action game. After diving into the opening hours of this grand-scale sword and sorcery adventure, we got to see just how detailed and vast the world of Crimson Desert is in real time, and what sorts of oddball quests and brutal combat encounters are to come in protagonist Cliff's adventures across Pywell.
Now, that looks sick. You can see a town right there.
Crimson Desert focuses on the story of wandering warrior Cliff, a member of the Greymane faction that seeks to keep the continent of Pywell safe during harsh times. But after a ruthless warlord decimates much of his crew, Cliff himself is seemingly killed in battle. But he's soon resurrected by mysterious new allies that come from the Sky Realm known as the Abyss. Now tasked.
So apparently you die, then you get resurrected. That's interesting. Wasn't really expecting them to like tell part of the a little bit of the story in this video. It kind of ruined just a little bit, but it's okay, I guess.
With rebuilding the Greymanes, he'll recruit new and returning members to his cause, push the limits of his newfound powers, and directly confront a civil war and a malevolent force that's threatening the balance of the world.
And I'm not sure I'd be much help on my own.
Originally planned as a direct prequel to the MMORPG Black Desert Online, Crimson Desert is now a standalone adventure set in the same universe. Even without knowing the lore of Black Desert Online, Crimson Desert keeps connections light, aside from the similar high fantasy setting.
I do have to say I did play Black Desert, but that was a long time ago, and I wasn't really a fan of it.
And, occasional references. It totally throws itself into the style of a Western high fantasy epic, but with the added energy of an Eastern-style action game in the vein of Final Fantasy. The opening chapters of Crimson Desert do well to introduce Cliff as a rugged and stoic hero who can easily cut down enemies in his path, but is also willing to lend a helping hand to the citizens across the land.
But they got what was coming to them. All thanks to you.
Though much of the footage we've seen showcased the grand spectacle and ludicrous action in Crimson Desert, our hands-on time largely focused on the more laid-back tutorial set in the Hernand region of Pywell. We had played Crimson Desert 3 times before this extended hands-on, all of which focused on isolated boss battles and spectacle combat. But with this tutorial setting the tone for the pacing and storytelling, we've now got a much better idea of the larger structure of this open-world adventure. While Crimson Desert has gotten a ton of comparisons to the
This game just reminds me so much of like Assassin's Creed. Just how like the character moves and how you fight and the horses and all that. It just gives me so much Assassin's Creed vibes.
Legend of Zelda, The Witcher, and even Dragon's Dogma, one game that really came to mind during our hands-on.
And it also does remind me of The Witcher. That is very true. I played The Witcher so many times. The Witcher 3 in a way.
Was Red Dead Redemption 2. Despite what we've seen before about how fast you navigate the massive world, at ground level, there is a surprising focus on navigating its densely populated areas with care and attention. We spent a lot of time just wandering the back alleys, interacting with people going about their day, finding new shops and cooking recipes, and even uncovering optional activities that do a good job of making the world feel bustling and lived in.
What a woeful fate.
Some of our favorite moments from the opening hours came from seeing what sorts of side quests the townsfolk would pull us into. In one instance, we encountered a man who fell from his roof and needed help with cleaning his chimney. And that is exactly what we ended up doing for this side quest. We climbed up on the roof, positioned ourselves on the top of the chimney, and used our newly acquired broom to clear out the gunk to help the husband get some relief.
Oh, my back. You've done me a huge favor there. Would you come off it, woman?
Look at him.
Despite the tone and
That's an odd mission to do.
action being serious, we were pleased to see how much humor and quirkiness were packed into Crimson Desert's opening hours. There are plenty of enemy bases to topple, but we also spent some time playing some back alley games of rock, paper, scissors with the local ruffians.
Let's play rock, paper, scissors.
No crying if you lose.
There's even a quest that had us rescue an abducted sheep to
The
cheer
hell?
up an upset child, and seeing the very serious Cliff engage in such activities was much more amusing than we expected.
Now, is this the friend you were looking for?
Woolly? That's not Woolly. Woolly's got a fluffier tail.
Cliff begins his journey with a fairly modest skill set and knowledge of the world, and as in traditional open world action games, the larger pull of Crimson Desert will be to expand his abilities and insight. When you pick up quest information, recipes, and even bounty notices for roaming targets, Cliff will expand his knowledge and fill out his records of all the wildlife, characters, and important events of the world. We were impressed to see how much was packed into this comparatively modest section
Holy-
of the massive game world. Seriously, just looking at the map had us taken aback by how
Holy-
large Pywell was. It was interesting
That map looks freaking huge. That was crazy. I knew the game was big, but that was a little more than I expected. Wow.
to take in Crimson Desert's pacing, and its deliberately detailed approach to navigating and interacting with the world initially took some time to get used to. Even as a tutorial, we were kind of surprised to see how much time is spent on getting players to really take in the many features and opportunities to find. Granted, it is very much in the vein of Red Dead Redemption 2's movement and interaction, but admittedly we felt overwhelmed by just how much you could interact with. You can actually go up to nearly all citizens to greet them or even rob them, provided
See, I think that's how a lot of games should be. There should be so much stuff in it for you to do and not have everything empty like a lot of games do that they could expand upon, but apparently this game has like all kind of stuff you could do in it, so I am excited for it.
you have a mask to disguise yourself, of course.
I pray the day greets you well.
Despite the range of activities, Crimson Desert is also a combat-heavy game, and even with Cliff's limited skills, the battles you can get into are quite brutal to see unfold. Initially, we started brawling with bandits and goblins around the city. Still, eventually, things took a turn when rival knights and other faction leaders started looking to get a piece of Cliff. The mini-boss battle against Matthias was a particularly thrilling fight, and even as one of the early encounters, it did a good job of showing how visceral the battles can get. Eventually, Cliff will make trips to the mythical Abyss realm, where we navigated a series of floating ruins far in the sky. Stepping into these visually stunning environments was one of the best moments from our hands-on time, and it also gave us a jaw-dropping view of the world's vast landscape. These are also segments that introduce the new Abyss powers in some puzzle platforming challenges. These magic powers elevate Cliff's combat and traversal skills to use his Force-style powers to manipulate objects and use a Force jump ability to propel him off the ground. Eventually, we were granted the ability to glide and took it out for a spin by skydiving back towards the ground. It is a fun ability to use, but it definitely takes a ton of stamina to get the most out of it.
The power to soar through the open skies is yours to command.
Throughout the game, Cliff will acquire Abyss Catalysts, which will serve as skill points to upgrade stats and unlock new abilities. These upgrades include improved jumping and more combat skills such as a suplex and more advanced sword strikes. In addition to exploring towns and the surrounding wilderness, we also get to see the early goings-on of the Greymane faction system, which focuses on building up a crew, sending them on missions, and gaining new resources. Though we weren't able to see it evolve much, it was impressive to see that it's actually a full-fledged management system that will continue to grow as you explore the world.
See, I like stuff like this, the management of like building like little towns and like coordinating people to attack like settlements and stuff like that. I like stuff like this in games. I find it fascinating, and I kind of wish more games did it. And there aren't too many games that do this, but normally the ones that do it, they do it pretty well. So this one should be pretty good.
We really enjoyed the flow and action in Crimson Desert, and completing the tutorial was a solid onboarding to the larger adventure ahead. Based on our previous hands-on time, Crimson Desert currently feels much more intuitive and less complicated with its controls. Still, it had the recurring issue of being too complicated for its own good, with its systems trying to cram actions and features into a fairly limited set of submenus and combinations. For instance, you'll often have to manually equip key items and gear to activate some prompts, which can feel cumbersome. This all ties back into the attempts to make players feel like they're having a more tangible connection to the world, but it can often feel too overcomplicated for its own good. Along with the opening chapters, we also got a chance to get another look at the mid-game of Crimson Desert, which saw a powered-up Cliff take on new enemies and a more powerful boss that matches up to his souped-up skills.
That slingshot thing looks freaking awesome.
Moreover, Crimson Desert also includes new party members that can be swapped in if you want to try a different combat style. While Cliff is still the central protagonist, playing as the tanky berserker Unka or the nimble and fierce Damien offers up some fun alternatives to Cliff's playstyle. It does well to showcase the variety within Crimson Desert and how the game will ramp up with more zany encounters that blur the lines between a high fantasy adventure and steampunk fantasy. Even with the lengthy hands-on time, we were still only scratching the surface of the larger adventures to be had in Crimson Desert. There have been many games in the past that try to go for large, open-world settings, but don't often really justify the need to go big and bold. But we were honestly quite impressed to see that Crimson Desert is not only presenting a case for its take on an open-world action-adventure game, it is also having fun with the concept by pushing its attention to detail and just how much there is to unpack within the sprawling world. So far, Crimson Desert is showing a lot of promise. It's certainly been on minds for several years now, which has invited a host of comparisons with other large-scale games. But our extended hands-on time has made us feel optimistic and intrigued by the game's maximalist action style, and that's gotten us plenty interested in seeing if the full game can deliver on reaching the same highs as other genre greats. For more on the latest upcoming games, check out our recent previews.
I do have to say I'm very excited for this game. I hope it's not a letdown. By the way everything looks, it looks like it's going to be amazing. I don't think it's going to be a letdown. But we're just going to have to see.